Hi there, it's March 26th and we're continuing our journey through the good news of Luke. We're in chapter 7 and we're reading from verses 11 to 35. So as Jesus continues on his progress, he comes to the village called Nain, and in Nain, with a big crowd around him, they encounter a funeral procession coming out of the town. And this funeral procession is particularly poignant because this is the only son of a mother, a widowed mother. And this means that the widow is left with no provision, there's no one to provide for her, she's left destitute, a very dangerous position for a woman to be left in. And Jesus has compassion. You know, everything that Jesus does is moved by compassion. Jesus is never doing stuff to demonstrate his power. He never does things, he never does his miracles just to show how great he is. So much comes out of his compassion, and so he has compassion on this widow, and he just goes up and he says to everyone, stop crying. He touches the bier, he touches the stretcher they're carrying the body on, and he says, young man, sit up. Young man, get up. And the dead man wakes up, stands up and starts to speak, it says. And then it says that awe falls on everyone. Can you imagine seeing a dead person come to life? Awe fell on them all, and the noise of what he'd done, the fame of what he'd done, spread around the whole region. But hold on to the fact that the main wonder here is that this son is restored to his mother, and that she is also provided for. There's something powerfully poignant in this compassion that Jesus shows. When the followers of John the Baptist hear about this, he sends two of his disciples, two of his followers, to inquire of Jesus whether he is the one who's come, whether he is Messiah, in other words. And Jesus at this time is healing, and many people are coming to him, and he says, well, just look at the evidence, look at what's happening. The deaf are being a hearing, the lame are walking, the poor are having good news brought to them. The poor are benefiting from this good news that they are experiencing. And he says, if anyone sees this and isn't offended because of me, then he's blessed. And the disciples go back and report this back to John. And then Jesus says something about John the Baptist, and he points to him, and he kind of praises him in one sense, but on the other hand, he also says that John is marking the end of an era. It says, you went out, what did you expect to see? You saw a strange man, a prophet dressed in strange clothing. But I'm telling you, he's more than a prophet. This is the one who kind of marks the end of the age of the prophetic, the old prophets. And he is the one who is saying, prepare the way of the Lord, because something new is happening. This is a change in the very era, in the very eon of history. And Jesus says, therefore, that whoever is least in the kingdom is greater than John, because John is the closing door of an age. And those who are with Jesus, even the least in this kingdom, are experiencing the presence of the Lord, and they are opening the door to a new age. They, if you like, their floor is the ceiling of of what's gone before. And so Jesus encourages them to see John as bringing something to pass into the future. But he says how strange it is that even whether it's John or whether it's me, people don't know how to respond. John, he says, came teaching to fast and teaching not to drink wine, and people refused him and they say he was demonic. I, on the other hand, come and I don't fast, and I drink I go to parties and I drink with sinners, and people say that I'm of the devil as well, that I'm evil. I said, what can you do? It's like children who won't dance and they won't sing whatever tune is played to them. And what Jesus is really saying here is that we can get our minds too wrapped up in principles and in regulations. And he was saying that wisdom is approved of her own children, that wisdom is something that works out. Wisdom isn't something we bring lots of ideas to, we bring lots of rules to and regulations. Wisdom is the working out of God's Spirit through our lives. And he says whether it was John fasting and not drinking wine, or whether it was him, whether it was Jesus eating and drinking, the wisdom of God is visible in both and is seen in both, and we need to be careful not to try and screw everything down and tie everything down with our rules and regulations. Have a very good March 26th.